What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the 3-on-3 pod. I'm one of your co-hosts, Chris Williamson. We are so excited to be back with y'all. We've got my main man, Michael Smith, filling in for Tarika Foster Brasby, who is living it up in Petty, Mike. But we also got somebody really special. First time live on the podcast, our girl, Didi Richards, who's been hooping it up in Australia for the Sydney Flames. Didi. What's going on, Didi? How you living, though?
Living down under, like you said, sleepy, but I'm so happy to be here. Like, I'm like ecstatic right now.
Now, I need to know, we need to shout your brother out, though, because he was balling for McNeese State the other
Honestly,
day.
he was hooping, like beyond hooping, you guys. Like, it's his sophomore year. Now that we're going to shout him out, let me go ahead and give him his flowers. You feel me? So it's his sophomore year. He was at UTSA his freshman year. And so he's under the Will Wade effect. And everybody knows Will Wade. I feel like the college coach from LSU. So now he's now at McNeese with my brother and their team, watching them just change the defense like they were yesterday and put pressure and make turnovers the way they were was just super exciting to watch, although ESPN Plus isn't supported out here, so I don't know why I'm acting like I was watching. I was reading the play-by-play. I was like, turnover. So, yeah, he had like 4 threes in the first half. He has this issue with putting 2 halves together, though. Like, my dad, the first thing he texted was, still can't put 2 halves together, because he had 4 threes in the first half, 1 3 in the second half. So easy on my brother, but he still had 17 points in his sophomore year game debut, so I was excited.
Hey, look, we were all excited. But your brother's hooping, right? He's gonna put 2 halves together eventually. But you were hooping too. Like, you were showing that mid-range game off the other week for the Sydney Flames, like little in and out, you know what I'm saying? Pull up. Like, oh, you gonna drive? Nope, pull up. Like, come on, you've been in the gym. You've been in the gym.
Me? I've been working on my fitness. What Fergie said, I've been just working on my fitness. I'm not lying. Like, it's really fun again out here. And like, I feel like I'm able to be myself. Like, with analytics back in the States, it's really hard to pull the mid-range game out. I feel like you only see like Jimmy Butler, maybe Kawhi every now and then pull out a mid-range game. It's 3 in layups now in the States. So being out here, I'm able to be myself and take the shots that I want to take. And that's probably the most exciting thing that it is about playing basketball. It's just playing free again. You don't got to think no more. I'm just doing me. So it's fun out here.
So I got a question, both as a player and as a person, because I've been following you on Instagram, seeing your exploits. You living your best life. Do they still say that? Do they still say living your best life? That might be a little antiquated at this point.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Living my best
okay,
life.
good.
I like it.
All right. Okay, cool. Just how are you better already, and how are you going to be better as both a player and a person when you come back home?
Man, I love that question. I think already I'm better just about my attitude. My perspective on life out here is completely different. I'm able to look at the glass half full, whereas I was looking before half empty, I want to say. And that sounds so cliche, but like that really was me. And my attitude was really negative at one point. And like out here, the mindset and perspective of just the people out here, they're just so much happier for no reason. Like, you're walking outside and people smiling. It's like, what you smiling for? Like, what's going on? But it's different here. And the coach, he takes a different philosophy and perspective on coaching, to where like after any game, he's not coming to talk to you because emotions are high. And I respect that. Like, it's different. It's a very different perspective that I'm able to understand, to like just breathe, and I think that is something I really needed. It's literally shown. Like, in the game, my dad literally texted me in the group message and was like, you didn't get upset. You didn't look like mad in the game. Because I played the game with a chip on my shoulder. I think everybody knows that. And so he was like, you actually looked like you were having fun. I'm like, because it's fun again out here. It really is. And I'm able to say that the game, I'm having fun. Like, I don't know. The last time I said that, you guys, probably was like winning a championship at Baylor with my sophomore year in college. Like, that's a long time.
Wow.
So like, I'm having fun. And then just like growing, like when I get home, I feel like it's going to be the biggest thing on the court for me, just being able to take on the versatility role of my life. Like, I'm a very versatile player on court, and I never really knew how to showcase that. And I think this coach here, Coach Guy, he's developing me into like a Draymond like player, like does all the dirty work, gets everybody
Okay.
to
Okay.
win. Yeah, like it's different. It's something that I had to really like sit back and like look in the mirror. Like if this is gonna make me go the furthest, then I need to take that on. And it really is, because it puts me in so many different. I can't be guarded at that point, because you put a post on me, I can go by you. You put a guard on me, I can push you up. And that's his mindset. It's like you're a walking matchup problem. So showcase that whenever you're on the court. And I was like, that's a true statement, I guess. Like I'm gonna just take that and run with it.
Man, well, we love that for you. I'll pass it back to you, Chris, to keep driving this here train. But I just want to say, like, again, I'm excited to be here because having Didi live from Down Under, thank you for checking in the first few episodes, but like having you live from Down Under, making this work for your schedule, just having you be a part of the 3-on-3, having all you guys be a part of the Inflection Network. It's just exciting. It's an exciting time for basketball. And have your perspective, but to hear like that you're in such a great place just means that much more for this project. To have you in a great place in your life and the perspective that you bring to these basketball conversations, man, we love that for you, right, Chris?
Hell yeah, we love it so much, and you can really see it. I mean, people that watch on YouTube, if you're listening, you can't see it, but you can see it on her face. Like she just has a glow about her, this carefree attitude, and it comes across very well. So we are so grateful that you are doing well and you're back in your happy place, and we can't wait to see you dominate more and more over there in Australia, and then coming back in the States. I just got to let it be out there. Just got to put it out there. But here's the thing when it comes to this show, right? The NBA is something that we're going to talk about a lot, and the Celtics have come out the gates, guys, blazing. I know they lost the Timberwolves on Monday in overtime, but they're 6-1. They look like one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, particularly in the East, right? And they've added Kristaps Porzingis, Jrue Holiday. Those guys have really fit into their system well. And I think early on, especially with KP, some people were not sure how he would do because there's questions about his health, his availability, how he's going to work with that team. But he's done a phenomenal job. We know what Jrue Holiday brings to the table. I wouldn't say it's a surprise for me, but it is a little surprising how well they've started in terms of the margin of victory against a lot of these teams. I was expecting maybe a little bit more struggle like we've seen with the Bucks. But Michael, we know you all in with the NBA. So like, what has impressed you the most about this Boston squad to start the season?
I would say the gelling, like you referenced. I mean, for them to come together so quickly and be so good so quickly says a lot. I mean, it was already a foundation. It was already an infrastructure. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla has got some experience as the head man now. Adding Sam Cassell to that bench is big. Tatum and Brown, you know what you're getting from those guys. Horford, you know what you're getting from those guys. Derek White, even though he's hurt right now, so there was already a foundation. But to ingratiate and to start to include and infuse KP and Jrue Holiday so quickly, it speaks a lot to the Celtics infrastructure and organization, but also to those guys and their versatility and their ability to integrate themselves, the word I was looking for, into the Celtics system. Having said that, though, and we'll have a larger conversation about this, I'm sure, later in the show about the in-season tournament and the purpose behind the in-season tournament. I hate to be one of those people that's kind of like, yeah, we've seen this before. Like, I've seen them be good in the regular season before. Like, because I was one of those people last year. I will admit it was very prisoner of the moment-ish, but I was one of those people last year. After last year's playoff loss, I was like, these two dudes, talking about Brown and Tatum, like these two dudes need to be great apart. They're really good individual players. I don't know if they're ever going to do it together. So I just didn't see it happening for Boston, even though they've been there at the end every year, just about. I didn't see it happening with this core in place. Then they went out and got KP and Jrue Holiday. I'm like, oh, okay, wait a second. In Brad Stevens' Boston trust. So I need to see it when it matters most. I don't mean to trivialize and ignore the regular season because it does matter, but I've seen them be good in November and December before. I want to see what happens when they face this new look Sixers squad that's playing. Talk about playing free, Didi. They look like they playing free. Embiid, Maxey, come on now.
Maxey, yeah.
I don't understand what you mean by being good later. They were literally in the finals 2 years ago, and last year they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, like, I just feel like the Celtics has always been that team that I could depend on to show up all the time. And then adding Porzingis and then Jrue Holiday putting Jrue Holiday on that team finally gave them that veteran player that they need, the person with experience to close games out. I feel like adding Jrue Holiday did that for them.
So that's what I meant. Just to interject real quick, that's what I meant. Like, yes, they've always been in the conversation as title contenders. They've been to the finals, but there's always been that something missing. And it always seems like at the most inopportune times, the redundancy, if you will, between Tatum and Brown shows up and costs them. Maybe Jrue Holiday is the answer to that, Didi.
Right, and Porzingis, I think. Porzingis does it for me. Like, he is somebody I can watch. He's somebody that is that walking matchup problem. He is like a center.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Body.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I like about Porzingis. And I think Porzingis is doing, they needed that Al Horford backup, and now that they needed Al Horford. I don't think I wanted Al Horford starting. So now it's like Al Horford coming off the bench is like, oh, okay. Now this team might have something to play with. You know what I mean?
Yes, especially because Al Horford is like 45 years old,
right?
So because I know he's not really 45, but it's because he's getting older, more wear and tear. So having a younger guy who, even though he is kind of injury prone, Kristaps Porzingis starting with that team, and just as you said, what he brings to the table offensively, really makes things a lot easier for this Celtics team. Now, to Michael's point about, I'm waiting to see it, when it comes May and June. Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, they have found positions where they should be winning the NBA title, right? Multiple times, and they cannot get it done. So that is what he's talking.
You have to realize they don't have a coach too. At one point, like they've had adversity has hit Celtics so much. Give them a season where everything's clean. I think it'll all work out for them.
So wait, Chris, you may know this already. I beg, pardon my ignorance. Like, because I'm just getting to know Didi here. There seems to be some serious passion here. When we talk about your Celtics and stuff. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, just wanted to let everybody know.
My brother has been a Celtics fan, y'all, since before I can remember. So, like, I feel like this is coming underlying. Like, this is DJ talking. This isn't me. Like, I'm speaking for my brother.
Okay. All right.
I got you. But wait, hold up, Didi. How is your brother a Boston Celtics fan when y'all from Houston, Texas?
And I'm going to always rep it. H-Town holding it down. I have no idea, you guys. My brother's just always been that lone sailor, though. He's a Boston Celtics fan. I've always been a LeBron wherever he at fan. So I was Cleveland, Miami Heat, Lakers. He's Boston Celtics. We're Dallas Cowboys fans. He's Minnesota Vikings. It will never make sense. It's just him. He's he's stern on himself.
I've learned a lot about you, brother. Just in that one story, I've learned a lot about you, brother. Okay, like Celtics, Minnesota Vikings, and he's the rebel in the family, right?
The rebel. That's what he does.
Yeah.
We love rebels. We love rebels. Somebody who's gonna start the fire. You know what I'm saying? Get a little controversial. And, I don't think this is controversial, though. Like, do we expect the Celtics, of course, it's early as hell, do we expect the Celtics, to come out the East as the number one seed this season? Because we know, I'm saying that because the Sixers, we got to see how they're operating full-time, right, with their new roster. The Bucks, Giannis and Dame have looked special at times, but we also know how they can be a defensive liability, particularly Dame, because he gets chewed up on those pick and rolls.
Absolutely.
And they have to work on those kinks. So for me, I'm a little more surprised. Well, I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I just expected the Bucks not to have such drastic defensive issues so early. So, Mike, do you expect the Celtics to come out on top of the East?
I'm gonna go ahead and make Didi happy and DJ happy, and I'm gonna say I do think health notwithstanding, because the crazy thing is, like, first of all, I would say it's a three-team. It's really three teams, right? With all due respect to the rest of the conference, we're talking about the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Bucks. I don't know that anybody else is really in the conversation to come out of the East right now, but injuries change all of that, unfortunately. So, provided everybody is healthy, I do think the Celtics, I beg your pardon, have the best 5-6, right? Probably the best 6. What do they have after that? What develops after that? They were very high on their internal their internal prospects when it came to depth after the trade. They were like, no, we got some guys that you just may not be familiar with yet that will give us the depth we need. So I think with all of them, it's going to be about the supporting cast, the others, as people like to say. I will say the Celtics because of that continuity that Didi talked about. Because they've been there the most. I think Embiid, not to get off on too much of a tangent, I like Joel Embiid a lot. I think Embiid has kind of gotten a pass a little bit because he had Doc Rivers, he had James Harden, who have playoff failures enough for several lifetimes, and Embiid's own shortcomings in the playoffs have gotten overlooked. So talk about, if I can say that about the Celtics, I can definitely say it about the Sixers with Embiid. I'll believe it when I see it. I think the most potential, though, is in Milwaukee, to your point, Chris. Like, if they could fix some of those early issues, and it is still very early, I'll take the Dame Giannis pairing over anybody. Dame Giannis. What did I just say? Dame Giannis. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I combined, look, wait. It was freak time. I combined Giannis and Lillard into Giannis. the Dame Giannis pairing over anybody. It's early. I'm sorry. It's early.
Y'all are
that don't sound as good as freak time. I like freak time.
No, I don't know. I don't think I agree. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just feel like even when Dame and Giannis figure it out, Dame time is a thing. I definitely am so hip on Dame time and Giannis. And, like, I get that. It's just defense is going to win games at the end of the day. Like, I just do not see, because the Celtics have always, with Marcus Smart, it was like, how are you going to score on that defense? You know what I mean? And you take Marcus Smart out and you add Jrue Holiday, which, as you can see, his presence leaving Milwaukee when he was there, they were 4th in defense, and like this year they're 25th in defense. So, like, seeing the presence that he had with Milwaukee, now adding that to Boston, who was already probably one of the top defensive teams last year, is kind of like, it's hard to, that's why I'm literally rocking with the Celtics coming out of the Eastern Conference. I can literally see that happening, even with Embiid. Like, and honestly, it's hard for me to say that too, because it's too early to tell what Porzingis, how he can guard the bigger posts, because he hasn't had to guard the Embiids yet, So I don't know. I'm scared to say that, but at the same time, it's like, I'm going to rock with Porzingis and Al Horford double teaming that.
Chris, I don't know about you. I'm just so fascinated with Didi right now because, okay, like, how you hooping in Australia and out here like an encyclopedia on the NBA? Like, so tell me about your routine. What time? When do you sleep?
Yeah.
Like, when are you consuming all this basketball? Is what I want to know.
Y'all have to understand. Our family group chat be bing, 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 bing while I'm sleeping, and it's my brother and my dad going back and forth about the NBA. So I just be like, "You guys, what's y'all's thoughts on the games?" And it's like, and I'm like, okay, I'm just inhaling all of that and absorbing all of this. So that's how my encyclopedia comes from Damian Richards and DJ Richards. I'm telling you, I'm speaking their words.
Okay,
so Chris and Didi, settle this for me then. Which chat is popping more? Didi's family chat or this 3-on-3 chat that I'm not in, but I've heard about it. It's legendary. I'm not in the chat. I ain't cool enough to be in it, but I've heard it is nonstop in the 3-on-3 group chat.
Hands down, 3-on-3, y'all. One day I woke up. Y'all have to remember, I am asleep. One day I woke up to like 215 texts from 3-on-3. I said, yo, I had to throw my agent in there. I said, please take notes, because it's hard for me to go back and read up to the top. I said, go in there and just take notes on what's going on.
You know what's hilarious about that, Didi, is, you had your agent in there, and then we texted so damn much that what was it? I think last week she hopped out. It was too much for her.
She left the chat. Gina left the chat.
I was
Like,
wondering
all right.
why my updates stopped. I'm about to text her and be like, you ain't tell me you hopped out the group message.
Hey, there's a lot of shenanigans that be going on there, so I can understand if people are a little overwhelmed by it. But I want to say that I feel like, how many of the text messages do you actually read, like that we send out there? Because you got a lot going on, so understandably you're not gonna respond. But how much do you actually consume? Or you're just like, okay, I saw this text. All right, now let me go on to the rest of my day.
So like it depends, because I like the battles. I like the questionnaires on, do you like candy corn, or do you like, I like that kind of stuff, or the mint chocolate chip. I like stuff like that. So I'll read that. When it's like that, I'm like, I wonder what they like, because it's easy to judge you to know if you like mint chocolate chip. I'm sorry, I hate to bring it all the way back there, but if you like mint chocolate chip ice cream, I know what kind of person you are, So it's stuff like that.
And what kind of person is that?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, that was awfully judgmental.
I don't want to get into that, but if you like mint chocolate chip, you are like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like your taste buds are completely messed up. I am not going in. I'm not supporting no mint chocolate chip stand or a candy corn stand. It's almost like y'all.
Well, that's two different things. Okay, candy corn's gross. But do not put mint chocolate chip in the same category. Like, no, hold on.
Person likes candy corn, likes the Peeps on Easter. They all like that nasty, the stuff that nobody like. That's that. I don't care.
Okay, shots fired. Is that you, Chris? You like all three of those? Because I'm a mint chocolate chip guy. I will put off a mint chocolate chip, but listen, Peeps and candy corn, no, thank you.
Listen, okay. I am a mint chocolate chip hater from 365 days a year. But I love. Hold up, Didi's gonna be mad at me here. I love some candy corn. Candy corn.
What is it? It's what?
It is look. We talked about this last week. It is the rush of sugar that you get from the candy corn. How it's so easily digestible. The orange and the yellow. There's just something magical about it.
The orange and the yellow. Okay, give me lightsabers. You want colors, but mint chocolate chip. See, forget candy corn. Like, mint chocolate chip is like Dame and Giannis, or Yonard, or Freak Time. It is an amazing combination. Like, why are y'all crapping on mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Unless it's like Olive Garden, the mint chocolates.
So you like just the mint chocolate. You like your peppermint patties.
I might live on a good day to eat that, but it's on a great day. It's on like a day like, oh, that pasta was hitting. Like, I'm gonna grab the mint chocolate patty, but like it don't taste good. I feel like it's so opposite. Who thought to put mint and chocolate in one?
A genius is who thought of it. And honestly, Didi, I don't believe all that talk about you being a better person because you're in Australia. You are not nice. You are not nice.
Yeah, I don't know what type of water they got out there.
Yeah, you are not nice right now.
No,
my youngest daughter lives for mint chocolate chip ice cream. It is delicious.
It's if you need it, worst case scenario, okay, we'll take it. Right? It's not like gross. It's not gross, but it's like, I'm not looking at the menu, Michael, and saying, oh yeah, mint chocolate chip. Let me go get that. Right. I'll be so excited. It's like, I'll eat it. Like, I don't think I'm as much of a hater as Didi is on it. I can enjoy it, but nah, bro, that's not one of my favorites.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, ice cream and mint, I'm sorry. We can literally leave this conversation. I'm trying to accept it because Mike likes it. I really am. I'm trying to
that's very considerate of you.
Maybe. But
I'm just glad I'm not in this group chat. You know what? I was going to ask to be invited to this group chat, but if this is the type of stuff that goes on, no thank you. So I'm very privileged to be here in place of Tarika Foster Bransby while she's living it up in Paris. And Tarika was the first one to give me doubts about this trio because of her disdain for Prince. Now, I'm really rethinking these people that we put together because they all hate mint chocolate chip ice cream, which says more about you than it does about anybody who likes mint chocolate chip ice cream. And then when I think Chris can't be any more of a hater, He goes to break in the previous segment talking about these damn courts. Just get off my lawn, turn your music down, turn down that public enema when it comes to the NBA in-season tournament. I love the courts, especially OKC's court. See, you got to realize who you're talking to. You're talking to somebody who I grew up in New Orleans, right? Similar to Houston, Didi. Like, we wear loud stuff. Like, my favorite jacket was this University of Tennessee pullover starter I had back in the day. I ain't even root for Tennessee, but it was orange. And you could see me from across the room. So I like loud stuff. I like the courts. I like my favorite. Here's something about me. The GOAT MC is Black Thought. My favorite hip hop act of all time is The Roots. Therefore, the NBA had me at the LL Cool J Roots Mama Said Knock You Out anthem. I'm like, okay, I'm in on this. Yeah. So they got this anthem for it. I don't understand it because it counts toward the standings and it's like it's money. And then they go to Vegas for the finals and the semifinals or whatever, which is cool. Maybe I get to cover it. The stakes aren't high enough yet. It needs higher stakes to really matter. But I like that it feels big. Because like we talked about earlier, like, we'll see what the Celtics do in the playoffs this year. We'll see what the Sixers do or the Bucks do or whatever in the playoffs. Like, the regular season, man, the players don't care about it, which is why they got a participation policy. A lot of players don't care about it. We, as a basketball culture, minimize the regular season because the reputations are made in the postseason. So I'm feeling this attempt, guys. Didi, I'll kick it to you. I'm feeling this attempt on the part of the NBA to make the regular season, especially before Christmas, matter.
Yeah. I honestly, when you put it that way, it makes me a believer in it. But before, I thought it was messy. It was so much. Like, it was so much going on. I'm like, okay, now I got a game and now I got to be thinking about my team's pool that they're in and who they're about to end up against. Like, it was just a lot. Because when I first heard it, I thought it was going to be kind of like the Commissioner Cup. You know how in WNBA they have the Commissioner Cup game? I thought it was something like that. And my brother's talking about it and I'm like, oh, so every team they play first counts towards blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, sends me a layout. And I'm like, absolutely not. I will not read it all of it. Like, I don't want to get into that. But the biggest thing that had me hooked on was the courts. The courts are exciting.
Thank you.
They're distracting.
Talk to Chris.
They're super distracting. I will say that. Like, it's a lot to see. Like, the court that the Warriors was playing on, that bright blue. That was so
the OKC court?
No,
yeah.
It was so distracting, but I like the Miami Heat court. I like Miami Heat's court. It's like the best, the most conditioned.
The culture? Yeah.
I like that.
Corny.
The candy corn guy is saying corny. Like, look, how old are you, Chris? How old are you? You're such an old man. I thought I was the oldest one. How old are you, Chris? Seriously. How old are you?
I'm 31, but let me.
31 years old sounded like you're 71.
Hey, you know what? People have said I always had an old soul, so this is not nothing new. What I was saying, Michael, for your information, is some people look at those courts like those damn courts. I actually like the OKC courts. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
I got receipts for that. I do. I thought that was the best visual one.
So when you said damn court, you were talking on behalf of the. See, you know what? And listen. First of all, respect for sitting there waiting patiently to tell me to go to hell and get my facts straight. Because I went in on Chris, went to Didi, and Chris was like, "Okay, I'll wait. It's like, I'll wait. For your information, I do like the courts. Okay, Chris, say more.
Yeah, I like some of them, not all of them. Like the Pacers. The Pacers court is disgusting. That's like a blue icy, a yellow icy, just so way too bright. Yeah. And there's a whole lot of blue out there. The Miami court, I'm not a particular fan of, but the signage out there with best condition, it's corny, but I'm a corny guy in some ways, so I can't really hate, right? I can't really.
If you are corny, can you call something else corny? Is that against the rules? Like, if you qualify as corny, as I do as well, which, by the way, corny has a different connotation. We all corny. Didi, you corny too, right? Like, corny has a different. Corny is now cool, low key. Corny became like when we was younger. Corny, when I was younger, Chris, you were a baby. And Didi, you weren't born. When I was younger, corny was not a good thing to be. Now it feels like corny is like everybody's embraced their inner corniness. So, but can you call something corny if A, corny is cool, and B, you are corny? I don't think you can call it corny. I think by definition, it's cool because as a corny person, if you see something and think it's corny, it cancels out the corniness. You understand what I'm saying? No?
Absolutely.
I understand it.
The philosophy made sense and the math was mapping, if you ask me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you, but kind of not, because some things there's like different levels of corniness, right? It's like
break it down.
That's a corny ass joke. Like, nah, bro, that ain't it. But there are other times where it's like, oh, that's corny. You know what I'm saying? That's played out, or that's cheesy, but it's cool, right? Yeah. So that's where I'm at on it. Now, here's what I'll say. NBA players, they making millions of dollars, right? You talk about the money. They getting $500,000 each, right? If they win this tournament. I agree. Listen, Bones Highland said he had no idea what was going on. He was like, yeah, honestly, man, I don't know how this things work, right? For the Clippers, he was like, I don't know what's going on. All I know is, like, you know, we got to play these games, got to win them. And then somebody say, yeah, you get money for it. Is that enough motivation? He's like, yeah, that's enough. Like that $500,000. Yeah, that's all the motivation I need. So I feel like, yeah, it's still early and the whole, you know, setup is interesting, but when you put money on the line, I'm be motivated for that. And we saw with the, you know, similar to the Commissioner's Cup, like New York Liberty won the Commissioner's Cup this past season on Vegas's home floor, right? So, D, I know you were happy about that.
Was I? Because I wasn't there this year when they decided to win the Commissioner Cup. I freaking missed out. So I was like, well, good for you guys. Dang, what was that? 2 years ago.
You're like, dang, why couldn't I be on there, you know, this year?
I was waiting on you to say that.
Come on, hey, listen, all I know is they could have used some help. They could have used some help defensively and score. That's all I'm gonna say, Didi. We saw the tape, we saw the film, saw you in Baylor, saw you in Liberty. That's all I'm gonna say, right?
Congrats on the culture and how far they got, because now we got fans coming whenever we decide to go back to New York, okay? Because wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Feels like there's a lot there. There was a lot behind that wow.
That wow, yeah.
She said a lot without saying. She said a lot was saying a little.
You about to go on a monologue.
It was really sad. It was really sad to watch. I really wanted it I really did. But like, man, to see it all unfold the way it unfolded was just wow, period. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Enough said. Yeah. Maybe next episode we'll get into that a little deeper. But y'all, for real though, y'all be motivated to play for extra $500K, right?
Absolutely. The Commissioner Cup. What? We don't even. What do you mean motivated to play for an extra $500K? We don't even get the not extra $500K.
Don't even get $500K. Extra $500K. Right. When you put it like that, Didi.
I'm a little mad about. That's the reason why I don't see the point of it. It's like, bro, what do y'all need this extra little chump change for? But that's just me being a little bit.
To some of them, it's chump change. To you know, the end of the bench dudes, like they may need that. Listen, that $500K, it goes a long way. You can do a lot with $500K, even if you got $500 million in the bank. You know what I mean?
Give it to your fellow WNBA players. Throw it to a team.
That's what that is. That's what that is. Send it to Sydney. Yeah, that's what that was. Send it this way.
Yeah, send it to Sydney.
Yeah.
Express. But I think though the whole meaning behind it, the purpose is to get the casual fans more engaged, right? Mm-hmm. Something that people will be attracted to. Because look, a lot of times the NBA season is a drag during these months, right? After it starts until Christmas. So people complain about it. Of course, they're going to still watch because they're rabid fans, but it's just a different, you know, thing to think about for the regular season, as opposed to, okay, can't wait till we get to the playoffs. Can't wait till we get to April, May, and June. And then that's out. You know, so
that's why I appreciate the effort. I really do. Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna die. I feel like it's gonna
What?
die like the All-Star did. I feel like it's gonna, you know how the All-Star, they changed it for a little bit, but now they're going back to the East-West. I feel like it's gonna be
Yeah,
something like that. Like they're just fishing for something, which I understand. Like you got to see what works to see what
right,
doesn't work, kind of ordeal. And
right.
like I feel like this is gonna be one of those things.
They're trying to
Okay.
do everything but shorten the season. What they're not
Like
going to do is
Right.
give you fewer games. Not with
No,
TV contracts coming up. That's what they're not
definitely
going
not.
to do.
Hey, they need to fix some TV contracts because we can't even watch some of these games because the streaming is out of control. But that's a conversation for another day. All I know is we're gonna remember, Didi. We're gonna check back in this like a couple years later to see if it actually did die. And if it did, then
mhm.
we'll give you your flowers. If it doesn't, then we know where to find you.
That's all I have. Give me my flowers.
Listen, I don't know about y'all, but what we saw Monday for the start of the college women's basketball season,
Mm.
seeing two black women head coaches, and Neil Ivy and Dawn Staley, Notre Dame and SC respectively, playing in the first ever collegiate game for women in Paris, France.
Men's or women.
Oh, men and women, yeah, men or women.
Yep,
Excuse me.
yep,
Thank you, Michael,
yep.
for correcting me. The show that they put on was exceptional, where you have these freshmen, Malaysia for Wiley for South Carolina and Hidalgo for Notre Dame, and they were making highlight reels left and right.
Absolutely.
So much so that Magic Johnson got on Twitter and said, "Yo, these ladies are hooping like this. This is one of the best plays I've seen in Malaysia for Wiley's, fast break layup or coast to coast." And you got Katie out here shouting them out. I don't think people really understand the gravity of what they just accomplished. Of course, South Carolina won big,
Mhm.
dropped 100 points on them on Notre Dame, but it's much bigger than just the score, Didi. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And like just to re-emphasize, two black coaches being the first to do that was absolutely legendary. Like I love Don was the one coach that of course everybody needed there, I feel like. But that was beyond legendary in the fact that all the fans that were there, like whenever you would see the camera pan around, it was so special for me to see that because you don't know how many games I've played where the gym has been empty. So like I am just so happy. Like whenever they say like you're doing this for who's to come next, that was one of those moments where it was like it felt so like surreal and it felt like everything was coming when it was supposed to come. Like it was special to see on top of the debut of the freshmen's. Like I feel like you can just see how the game is changing. First off, the game is like it's more free on the girls' side. Like we're now playing, like I feel like we're playing so much freer now, and it's fun to see with Malaysia and Hannah. But like I feel like nobody is talking about. I just want to say this. I feel like nobody is talking about. I think her name, I wrote it down. Hold on, let me go look. Camila Cardosa.
Yeah,
Cardoso.
Camila
Or
Cardoso. Yeah,
like
yeah,
what?
Cardoso.
20
Yeah,
points, 15 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Like nobody wants to talk about how she was coming in after Aaliyah Boston the last couple years, averaging like 9 points. And this was her time to shine. And she got on that floor and shine in Paris. Okay. So I can't wait. South Carolina is going to be a force to be reckoned with, to say the least. But I want to hear your stance, Mike, on like just the impact that this had on college basketball around the world.
I will give you that in a second, but I actually want to like tap it back to you, a little touch pass back to you, because I want to ask you, like, so we're going to talk about the macro and what it means for the women's game in particular, the sport in general. But I'm curious from a player's perspective, what is the lasting impact on these players, these young women, to experience, making history, being a trendsetter, being trailblazers, and playing the first collegiate game in Paris? What does this do for the players?
I think for the players that are playing right now, I just hope that they're sitting and they're like enjoying the moment. Like there's so many times where I did something and everybody's like, this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And then you look back on it like, dang, I didn't even really take that in and it impacted the world the way it did. So I think my biggest thing for them is just to sit there and breathe in Paris.
Yeah.
Like realize where you are and where basketball is taking you. Like right now I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I take it
Exactly
as much as I can, like it's way bigger than basketball. It's letting basketball take you places you never will see. Some people never left the state, the city that they're in, and basketball is carrying me all the way down under 17 hours ahead, 17-hour flight. So I think that's where the impact, it's more on you than it is the world. Like let that sink in for you, like that
Yeah.
what you've done for the world and what you've done for basketball yourself.
No, I appreciate that. My global thought, pun intended, is just the energy, man. The energy, all of it. Like I feel this shift. And I'm sure you guys feel it too. Um, and Chris, you referenced, Magic's tweeting about it, KD's tweeting about it. Everybody's watching it. Everybody's paying attention. Emphasis on pay.
Right.
Pay.
Amen.
Because as Coach Staley said, like, it ain't on ESPN for free. And they ain't bring South Carolina and Notre Dame to Paris in the name of charity. Like, there's money to be made, and money to be made, money to be spent on the women's game. But it's coming from this energy and this enthusiasm, because whether it's, South Carolina, Notre Dame, whether it's Juju Watkins at USC dropping 32 in her college debut,
surpassing Lisa Leslie.
Come on now. Whether it's Colorado knocking off LSU, it's like there's just so many storylines and so much energy to where we are normalizing an enthusiasm, and not a dip your toe in enthusiasm, but a 10 toes down enthusiasm when it comes to the women's game across the board. To like that's just exciting to see. I mean, we've talked about the record ratings and the record attendance. Right. It's like there's just milestone after milestone, Chris.
Speaking of milestones, bro, like remember what we saw earlier this season for an exhibition game, Iowa played at Kinnick Stadium, where 55,000 plus came to watch Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes go up against the DePaul Blue Demon. It shows you that it's not a gimmick, it's not a charity, it's an investment, it's entertainment at the end of the day. And that is what we saw at Iowa, and that's what we saw in Paris. And as the stakes get higher, just the more people will pour into the game. When I say pour in, I mean invest. Like, forget all this. Yeah, let's support the women's game. Let's, support it ain't no damn charity. It's not a non-for-profit. It's not a Make-A-Wish. These are high-level athletes who are putting so much time and energy into the game, as well as the coaches. So I can't wait to see, how things explode for the women's game in particular, because the sky's the limit. They have the storylines, as you mentioned, Michael. They have the superstars. You have the drama. You have the trash talk. But I do want to bring up something interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Dawn Staley probably had one of the a black mom moment, one of the blackest moms moments yesterday, when they won the game and they were taking photos, and you see Raven Johnson and her teammate Sonia Ja start to put up some signs, some hand signals, right? Raven sees Dawn to the side of her. She's like, "Oh, let me put my hands down." But then Sonia, she's
like Asia Wilson. They go Becky.
Yeah, go Becky. Yeah. This one was like, "There go Dawn. Right. And this time, Sonia, she decides to keep her hands up, right? With I don't know what sign she was putting up. And then all of a sudden, Dawn sees it out the corner of her eyes, and she has this rolled up paper in her hand, and she slaps her hand like, we ain't doing that. This ain't no, you know what I'm saying? They talk about N words in Paris. We ain't for that, right? We ain't that.
Right.
So, Didi, what did you make of that moment in general? Just how coaches, inflect or impact their players in terms of their influence and understanding like how to lead, as young ladies.
Right. I think it's huge because at the end of the day, we're in college. We're still kids, So I think college coaches, they take on the role of being your parent whenever they take you in. Like that's your mother away from home. Like that was Coach Mulkey for me. She was my mom away from home. She was still teaching us life lessons that you're still 18, 19, 20, 21. So you need that role. So I don't know. I love seeing that. I love seeing like the different hats that coaches have to put on. Like that was one of those ones where Dawn Staley put on the mom hat, like, not today. Like, you're not about to be doing that today. You're about to represent this team and yourself the right way. So it was cool to see that. And it was cool for everybody in the world to kind of see that, oh, she has to do all this other stuff as well. Not just coach. There's so many other, like, they have to monitor their schoolwork. They're in Paris. Like, there's a coach on the team that monitors if you're turning in school. Like, we have to do freaking, what's it called? Study hall on the road. Like,
Yep.
I hated study hall on the road, by the way. But we had to do stuff like that, and it was an assistant coach in charge of that. So there's so many different hats that they have to put on within the system. So that was one of them. She is also a mom for that team as well.
Well, let's be clear about something. Let's call it what it is. Like, Dawn Staley is everybody mama. Like, if Dawn Staley checked me right now, I would listen to Dawn. If she slapped my hand, I'd be like, I'm sorry. Like she could be the boss of me right now. But in all seriousness, like, there is not a more influential person in basketball right now than Dawn Staley. Like, Dawn Staley helped make that happen and was intentional about bringing Coach Ivy and Notre Dame with her. And that word intention just really like resonated with me on when it comes to Dawn Staley and just how she moves. Because I like to think that everything I say and do has been and is intentional. I don't do anything by accident. So when I see somebody doing that and using her platform and using her accomplishments to lift somebody else or just lift the sport in general, and how many people she mentors, whether it's former players that ain't never played for her, or obviously her own players, it's just, she's such an inspiration and she's such a G. You know what I mean? Like, just everything just the way she moves. And in life, to me, if you ain't moving with intention, then you literally wasting time. And she saw this opportunity to bring the game to Paris, knowing that she could pull that off. You know, it's just, I can't say enough about Dawn Staley. Like, I take my hat off to her. I give her flowers. You know, all the credit in the world goes to Coach Staley for just how she moves. So even Chris, that anecdote about her, you know, telling her player to, you know, put your hands down, she just sees the bigger picture all the time. Yeah. Like, so we literally talking about taking a picture, and here she is seeing the bigger picture. Like, that ain't a good look. You know, she always just on it in every aspect of her game.
Absolutely. She is a point guard. She saw the floor.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Use the peripherals. Yep.
Right. But can we talk about Malaysia with her peripherals? Like,
okay, come on now.
She had one pass where she threw it to Tahina Paopao, the transfer from Oregon, and when she drove, like, Paopao was still on the floor getting up. So the fact that she had that wherewithal, the awareness, is crazy to me as a freshman, y'all. Like, and Dawn, did y'all see Dawn's reaction? She turned away. She didn't even bother to look if the basket went in because she was just so mesmerized by that. I mean,
it's a great time for the game, man.
So the NBA season is currently in its first month, right? They started mid-late October. Now we're in early November, and we've seen some teams emerge as contenders. Some other teams look pretty flat. The Memphis Grizzlies to be one. God bless them. That whole Ja Morant situation, I feel like, really derailed them. And you see it even Marcus Smart's face sometimes. Or there's one game where I think he was crying because he's just not used to that type of culture where they're losing to start the season. But I'm interested to know some of your hottest takes, Didi and Michael, about what you've seen so far, because we have had a lot of players rise to the occasion. In some cases, players who we did not expect to be so dominant.
I'm excited for this talk because I'm a huge fan of like people that developed and like got the opportunity a little late and now they're here. And I feel like for me, that is Cam Thomas on the Brooklyn Nets. Like, every game I feel like he played last year that they gave him like the ball and just said, go hoop, he hooped and he showed up. So like, for them to not play him and now to be this year where he is getting consistent playing time and he is consistently being trusted with the ball, it's showing. Like, he already showed in the NCAA when he was second in scoring the year that he graduated that he could score the ball at a high clip. And what did I say? The Will Wade effect. Where DJ at? Will Wade. So like, I'm going for all Will Wade's players right now. And to see Cam Thomas go from, I think it was averaging like 10 point something points a game last year to now averaging like 28.9 points a game. It's insane the growth somebody can have when you believe in somebody and when you let them play. Like, I love seeing his game transform the way it has and take off the way it is. So that's my hot take, and it's Cam Thomas.
Was that Cam? Okay, if I messed this up, correct me. Was that Cam that did the jump stop with his back to the basket?
Yeah.
And squared up in midair?
Yeah.
That was him, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. The body control to pull that off? Man.
He also has like a funky shot though, to where like it makes sense. Like it makes sense for him, like to be facing this way and shooting that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever I see him play, it's always you're gonna foul him, because just like Asia Wilson, like you're naturally gonna foul her because her elbow is right here in front of you, so you gotta just let him shoot it. For Cam Thomas, that's me. Like his shot is so funky that it sets you up to foul him, so he can get all the unorthodox shots off all the time. It makes sense in his game.
Well, speaking of fouls and speaking of showing, James Harden is who I want to toss up in this jump ball segment here, because it's like, all right, you know, the old saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. I feel like we know who James Harden is and who he isn't. But I'm holding out hope that, like every other relationship in his career, like every other stop in his career, that this doesn't end badly. For even if he's only there for this year, who knows? But so first game against the Knicks, he looked good. You know, 17, 6 of 9 from the field, 6 assists. He looked good. But I mean, you can't really take anything away from that, can you? Because I mean, it's the first game. They're experimenting. I mean, Ty Lue said as much, but at least for the first 10 games, it's going to almost be like training camp. So he's figuring out lineups. I think he'll quickly figure out, if they don't already know, that Harden should have the ball in his hands, / he and Russ should not be on the floor at the same time as often as possible. They need to play a part as often as possible. But regardless, if those 4 guys, Kawhi, PG, Russ, and Harden, obviously, if those 4 guys are healthy and available, I'm hopeful that they can pleasantly surprise people like me, Chris, and actually make this work. And like we talked about, like the Clippers could actually, you know, shout out to Freddie Gibbs, not get sent home early. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I think this could actually work. I'm optimistic, Chris.
You know, I want to say I'm optimistic, but I just need to see it, bro. I just need to see it.
We've seen this movie before.
We've seen this movie so many times. Like, is the difference going to be the fact that he's back, you know, in his hometown? I don't know. Is it again, his awareness level?
You talking about for Harden?
Yeah, for Harden.
You know what I think the difference is going to be? That he's at best their 3rd best player. Maybe their 4th on some nights. If Russ is doing his thing, he might be the 4th. And I think that's what Harden wants and needs at this point in his career, is to get a lot of the credit, a lot of the benefit, but none of the real pressure. Like, even being the 2nd best player in Philly was too much for him. I think at this point, that's what he wanted in Brooklyn. He was like, oh wait, KD, Kyrie, all right, I can get in where I fit in. I'll be okay. I've done the 30-point thing. I've carried the team. I ain't got it in me to do that. I think he has actually more self-awareness than y'all think. I think he knows what he's not. And I think he knows that playing with Kawhi, if Kawhi's available, and Paul George if he's healthy, and even Russ, who, you know, the one thing Russ going to do is play hard. Harden could pick his spots. And I think that's why it could be different for him more than it's been in the other spots.
Okay. That's fair. Those are a lot of great points. I don't hate it either.
All right.
And if they go farther into the playoffs, you know, than they have in the past, that'll be great for ratings, for entertainment value, just to see if they're going to finally put it together with that loaded roster, or if they're going
to be a disaster. One way or the other. It'll be interesting.
They ain't gonna know in between.
They're old too. Like, they got to figure it out this year.
Yeah.
You know, like this little lineup would have been super cool in 2017. Super fun.
That would have been amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
We got all of them together, but now it's like, ooh. I don't know how this is going to
It's
work
like
out.
2017 All NBA first team right there.
Right.
Now they old grizzled veterans. Hey, but I will say this. Kawhi said he's done resting. Like, he wants to play every game. So that's something, that's telling coming from him, who's been, like, I guess, the poster child for load management based on his knee injuries and all that. So they're old, but they still can cook, as we've seen. You know who's not old whatsoever? Derek Lively, the center for the Dallas Mavericks, the rookie out of Duke Nation. As a Duke Blue Devil fan, I'm not apologize for it. He has come out to start the year impressing so many people. Like, I knew he was talented coming out of Duke, but they're just different things that you're able to do when you're in college compared to when you're in the NBA, whether it's system or whatnot. And he has looked like he outshined, y'all, Victor Wembanyama in the opening game of the season for them.
Yeah.
Like 16 points, 10 boards, was a massive rebounder, is somebody who can get his mid-range shots and also take you to the paint. Like, I think this is really going to help Dallas in terms of their offensive productivity, but more importantly, as a rim protector, because defense has been something that has plagued them in the past. We talk about Luka and Kyrie. They're, two of the best showstoppers in the game, but defensively wise, what are we doing? You add that with Grant Williams, come on now. They're going to be a contender. Now, does that mean they're going to end up NBA Finals or Western Conference Finals? Probably not. But I feel like they're not going to disappoint people as much as we may have expected because of these additions that they made in the way they're playing so far. Are y'all feeling Derek out there or nah?
I mean, I don't hate this right now. When you broke it down like that, I like Derek. I was a fan of Derek anyway, but like putting him with that's what Dallas needed. Well, now that you said it, Luka couldn't guard a stop sign. So it's like when you put somebody that can protect the rim for him, it's like that might be the little oomph they needed. Like, they kept saying that adding Kyrie was gonna be the oomph. It wasn't, but like they needed some defensive presence. And honestly, Derek might have been that for them. I don't hate you thinking that they're gonna be a contender. I don't see them going way far with it, but like, I don't hate that. And Grant is one of those workhorses that's going to do the dirty work, have a chip on his shoulder, might start a little fight. It might work out for them. Might work in their favor. I like that.
Yeah. Or might poke the bear, as they say. One way or the other, he gonna do something. I love the analysis, Chris. I do like the construction of this team. I like what I've seen so far. But speaking of far, we all know they only gonna go as far as those top dogs take them. You know what I mean? It's gonna be about, when it comes down to it, it's gonna be about Luka, and it's gonna be about Kyrie. And very similar to James Harden. Like, can we count on Kyrie at this point to A, be available, and to B, come through? We know he'll take and make big shots. We know he'll be brilliant. But you're right. But to get to that point and to put themselves in that position, they needed the right roster tweaks. And I love that call out of some of the subtle moves that, a lot of people may not be paying attention to, that have allowed them to get off to this hot start. So I like that. Good call.
But that is going to do it for this edition of the 3-on-3 pod. Make sure, well, first, I just want to say we are so glad that we finally had Didi Richards on here live in color from Australia with her teddy bears and lions. What did you call them? Tricky and who?
And Deucey.
Tricky and Deucey. You can't make it up.
Adorable.
So sweet. But yeah, make sure to listen to the 3-on-3 podcast, y'all, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow the podcast on Twitter. The handle is the 3-on-3 pod. And then on Instagram, it's just 3-on-3 pod. But yeah, this is what you expect from a 3-on-3 episode.
Except better.
Better,
because I won't normally be here. Tarika will be here, and it'll be even better.
Right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Hold it down. Tarika will be back. Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's it, y'all. Have a good week, all right? Appreciate you.